Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Finney with King Realty Group here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I hope that everyone is enjoying a wonderful Friday and had a very good time with your family and friends for Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to hop on real quick, completely impromptu. It's been a while since I did a live stream and see who was out and about with questions. I have been getting a lot of different questions sent to me directly via email, some of them coming in text, and of course in the subscriber comments. So I thought, why not go live, answer a few questions, and see who else is feeling the same way. So the topic of this one to lead us in with is actually new home construction. And one of our subscribers, one of our tribe, had sent me an email most recently, new to the channel, new subscriber, and said, "Hey, Andrew, I really wish I found your videos before I actually got into contract on new construction, but because I haven't, these are a list of 6 questions that I have, and they're really, really powerful questions. So I hope you're watching. And for your privacy, I won't share your name, of course, but I will go over the questions in turn. So let's give a little bit of a background here. The subscriber says, they just came across one of my videos yesterday and ended up watching back-to-back videos, which were extremely informative. And they wish they thought of looking me up a long time before they got into contract with new home construction. And they mentioned that they live out of state and they're moving to another state, and they're currently in contract with a new construction home, specifically a 55 and over community. So they chose their community, they chose a floor plan, and completed their design center process. They signed a purchase agreement, which means that they have agreed to purchase the house only, and that was where the first question is. So yes, once you sign a purchase agreement with a builder, then yes, once you do that, you have agreed to purchase the property with all terms and addendums that you have agreed to up to that point. Any modifications at that point will be going to what's called a addendum. So if you go to the design studio and you go crazy over there and you rack out an additional $50,000 of options, then you're going to get a new addendum, making sure that you also realize that the price of your home just changed. So then the next question was that they were conditionally approved, and they were wondering a little bit about that. See question 2. So they gave me a lot of wonderful questions here where it's like 5 underneath each one, which I thought was pretty cool. But ultimately what the problem is here is they feel like they're being taken advantage of by the builder. And they were really surprised when they watched the video about having your own trusted real estate advisor, and asked me if a real estate advisor is synonymous with a real estate agent. In short, yes, whenever I'm talking about trusted real estate advisor, real estate advisors, I'm talking about a real estate professional, a real estate agent, a realtor that takes everything with a passion and doesn't look at it as so much as like real estate sales, as opposed to approaching people with a common decency and respect and saying, "Hey, let me be your guide, let me be your advisor, and let's help you out and answer the questions that you have so that you can make a well-informed decision that's right for you." So whenever you hear me say that a lot, real estate advisor, trusted real estate advisor, I'm talking about a real estate agent in specific. So I just want you guys to know that, so that in answering this person's question. And it said that the only time they had a real estate agent was with them on the first 2 of the community visits, and that the agent was very responsive if they asked questions, but I haven't seen the agent too much since then, which could be problematic. They should be very much part of the process of new construction. So Kathy Martinelli, thank you. I'm glad to see that you're here, my friend. And I just want to give a quick shout out. Just saw you jump on with Mohammed, and thank you so much. And Mohammed, I'll answer your question in a moment too. And thank you for being here, and thank you for joining in. So going into the second question, it was a lot to do with the lending side. Keep in mind that I am not a loan officer, that I am a real estate agent, but I have worked with a lot of families in new home construction, and I can answer a lot of these questions. And I would ask you if you're in contract with new home construction or lending in general and have questions about your home loan, please contact your loan officer directly with the questions that you have in mind and ask them directly to answer those questions. So what this one's saying is that the builder offered a couple of incentives if they used the builder's preferred lender. That is very, very commonplace that a buyer could score some incentives by using the builder's lender, by the way. So in this case, they were getting $5,000 towards structural upgrades and up to $9,000 towards buyer closing costs if they used the builder's lender, right? So they did their due diligence and they said, "Hey, I don't know if I'm getting a really good shake from this. $14,000 of total incentives, but what about the rate and what else can I do?" So they went ahead and said, "Hey, let me go ahead and contact 3 other lenders and see what's happening here." And what they're sharing with me here is that they got an estimate with a rate over the phone of 2.75%, which was lower than the builder's rate of 3.1%. And then went back with the builder and asked him, hey, can you do anything to improve upon my rate? And the builder said they can go down to like a 2.875, or they could buy points to lower the rate, which is also an option too. But going to right here, when you're talking about over the phone, I want to be real with you about something. When you pick up the phone and you call a loan officer, unless they verified your income, your assets, your credit, and your employment situation, meaning that you provided 2 years tax returns and your bank statements and everything, they can quote you whatever they freaking want. Because until it gets real, it doesn't get real. So, I mean, got to be honest there, that anybody can tell you what they want over the phone and with what they think they can do based upon what you're sharing, but there's always a conditional approval. There's always that situation where it says, hey, yeah, I think we could do this, but we need to verify your income, assets, credit, and employment just to verify and make sure. For all we know, they could go back through that process with one of those other 3 loan officers, and then they come back and say, yeah, it's going to be 3.1, or the best we can do is 3.25%, which would be worse in this case. So in this case, the builder is saying, hey, we can drop it down to 2.875 because the builder's lender does have all of their information to be able to make that determination, okay? So I just want to go on a tangent real quick there and let you guys know that it's very, very important to realize that, because whether you buy new or you buy resale, it's something that comes up a lot where you get like loan officers all of a sudden contacting you out of the blue, and they're like, hey, I can give you a better rate. I can give you a better rate. That's great. But if they don't have your information, they don't know what they're talking about. And that's just keeping it real. So I just want to prime your mind for that, no matter whether you're buying new or resale there, just to make sure that you always know what's up. And if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, right? So let's make sure that we're making well-informed decisions here by putting our ducks in a row and getting them ready to go. So they went on to say, hey, well, if I use a different lender who offers minor incentives, do I have to pay back the builder's $5,000 in upgrade incentive? In short, you wouldn't get it, because remember that it was conditional and contingent upon using the builder's lender. So if you go outside of the builder's lender, any incentives the builder is offering as a result of using the builder's lender means that you're not going to receive those benefits and those incentives if you go outside of that. Now, that said, it can sometimes happen, but this would have had to be done well ahead of time of going into contract. And this would have had to been a situation that it was only because that builder's lender was unable to provide the same home loan to a prospective home buyer than the other loan officer can do it. Let's say that loan officer A is able to do the home loan, but the builder's lender themselves, they weren't able to. I had a situation like that, frankly, that came up. The last time that really came up where a builder couldn't do a loan, there's been a couple of them. One of them most recently earlier this year, when it came down to a jumbo loan, keeping in mind that a jumbo loan is just essentially a home loan above what's called the conforming loan amount, which for 2020 was about $510,400, okay? So anything above that was considered a jumbo loan. Well, in the case of the down payment amount and the way that this jumbo loan was working for the specific person, the builder's lender wasn't able to provide the same level of jumbo loan. In that case, Bill Marin at New American Funding over here in Las Vegas, that I work with a lot, said, hey, I can do that and I can jump on this. And then the buyer was actually able to retain the incentives from the builder. Now, that's an example of how that works. And it can happen. But in most cases, once you go outside of the builder's lender, you're not going to be scoring the incentives that they tell you, hey, as a result of using our preferred lender, you will get to retain these incentives, whether they're structural incentives, which they got some, and towards their buyer closing costs. It's a conditional agreement contingent upon the use of their preferred party. Okay. I hope that makes sense. And if you have some questions about that, let me know. But at the end of the day, it's very important to gain crystal clear clarity on that, of how that works. It's a really, really good question though. Thank you for it. So they said, this one was fun. So they said, hey, I called the builder and said, hey, I'd like to keep both of the incentives and use a different lender anyways. And they got no response. So go figure, right? To everything that we just shared a moment ago. So that definitely makes sense. On the note with Penelope, thank you so much for joining in. Penelope says, should I save up $100,000 to buy a house in New York? Penelope, great question. At the end of the day, where you choose to buy is where you choose to buy. And when you talk about saving up $100,000, depends on the amount of home that you're looking to purchase, what programs are available, are there state and local programs available to you? One thing I do want you to keep in mind, and everybody that watches this live stream during the process right now, or after the fact, is we do have President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris coming in the office, and congratulations to both the President-elect and the Vice President-elect. The reason I bring that up is when they're inaugurated, they're already talking about some significant changes to home purchasing. They're talking about bringing back some first-time homebuyer incentives up to maybe $15,000. So Penelope, when you're talking about saving up $100,000, great. I mean, if you have the capacity to save up 100,000, saving up 100,000 is always a really cool thing. But it also goes into how much home are you buying? But with some of this legislation that may be getting passed early next year, or maybe in the second quarter of next year, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for first-time homebuyers to jump into the mix if they chose to do so and be able to move forward with the purchase. So if you're able to get a $15,000 tax credit or incentive as a result of that, that's pretty cool. So I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind, because that is something that I will most definitely be watching, and something I'll be talking about in an upcoming market prediction video coming out soon. Will be a little bit about that and what it looks like at the end of the day. So Olad Papo, I may be mispronouncing your name, but I just want to say thank you. And thank you for being here, my friend. It says, hi, Andrew. When can I ask the builder's lender for the initial rate disclosures after paying the earnest money and the addendum? That's a really good question. So there's nothing wrong with asking for an initial set of a loan estimate. Essentially would be that process right out of the gate. You get a loan estimate. Just keep in mind that a loan estimate is completely different in a lot of cases than your closing disclosure that you'll be receiving right before you get ready to close. It's normally going to err on the side of safety and being a little high. Whereas a closing disclosure before you get ready to close is going to be very, very accurate. And it still may be a little high, but it won't be way off like loan estimates. Loan estimates may or may not be taken into consideration any additional origination fees or transaction fees. And sometimes that if they try to do them too quickly, they could have some fees in there that aren't going to be associated with the purchase, or they could miss a fee that would be associated with the purchase. So what I'd ask you to do is to go ahead and get with the builder's lender, if that's who you're using, and ask them for a loan estimate, and ask them when you could expect one that was as accurate as possible going into the building process itself. It's a very good question, though, and I would like you to have that insight. I think that you should have that insight. You need to know what your numbers look like. You need to have all of that information as quickly as possible. So go ahead and ask for that. John Stiles, thank you so much for joining us. John Stiles says, just a comment, I think your Lamplight Theater website could improve in terms of ease of MP3 downloads and making additional orders as returning customers, just saying. Okay, so when you're saying my Lamplighter Theater website, are you talking about, I don't know what you're talking about, actually. Are you talking about a YouTube page? You're talking about my real estate website, which was recently redone? Or what are you talking about? And MP3 downloads, there are my YouTube videos on my website, and you would be able to download them in MP4, but not sure, or maybe it's just a spam. But either way, whatever. Spammers, it's a fun of going live. Anything can happen. Comments, whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. Let's roll and focus on the people that want to be here and get the questions answered. And speaking of, I see John said down below that, oh, I guess I was thinking of a different website. Sorry. No biggie, John. Thanks for joining us. If you're still here, thanks for being here. YL2K, is it okay to apply with as many mortgage companies as you can, as long as they're around the same time to find the best deal? It's a really good question, and it's extremely important to gain clarity on that, my friend. And in short, if you're doing that within a 30 to 45 day window before you go to contract, right, then you should be getting safeguarded. As let's say that you did it with 10 credit card or 10 loan companies, right? Then obviously you'd have 10 credit hits, but which one of those is going to count at the end of the day? If you do it in that 30 to 45 day window as you're preparing to purchase a home, then all of the ones but the one that you used, but that lender that you used is going to stay on your credit. So the 9 are going to disappear. The one that you used is going to stay, but it has to be in that window. So you could, but what I'd ask you to do is simply take a step back, take a breath, and figure out, why do you want to apply with 8 million different people? What result are you looking for at the end of the day? What are you wanting to get out of that exercise? Because sometimes people say, hey, I want to apply with 10 different companies just to see which one gives me the best rate. Well, at the end of the day, if you click those asterisks, and I did a live stream earlier this year with Bill Mayer where we actually went through this exercise, including with his company, they're going to have all these things that are legal teaser rates, because they got these little disclaimers, these little asterisks telling you they can give you this rate, this rate, this rate, but you got to click the details to dial in on how they can get you that rate and what they're talking about exactly. So it's extremely important to take note of that. So if you're contacting mortgage companies to find out which one can get you the best rate, we want you to get the best rate, but also make sure that you're keeping apples to apples here, and that you're doing true applications, meaning that you're submitting your tax returns, 2 months of your bank statements, 1 month of your pay stubs, your income, your assets, your credit, your employment are all being verified, so that you know that you have a true apple to apple comparison here. Because if you don't, and you're just talking to 10 people willy-nilly, it goes back to what I was sharing earlier in this live stream. Hey, they can tell you whatever they want because they don't really have your information. And if they're just telling you whatever you want to hear, they're just trying to score your business. And if they're just trying to score your business, are they really looking out for you right there at the end of the day? So I want you to gain clarity on that and actually think through how many people you want to contact, why you want to contact them, what are you expecting to be different, and have some crystal clear clarity moving forward on that. Because if you don't, then what's the point? You're just taking a lot of hits on your credit up front. Of course, as long as you consummate the purchase within that time frame, then all the ones that you didn't end up using are going to drop, and only the one that you did use is going to stay. But the question is, why go through the exercise if you don't know what you're looking for exactly? So it goes back to that saying that if we don't know where we're going, how we're going to know we get there, right? So in this case, we need to know what we're looking for from the mortgage loan officer, to know when we get there and we arrive at that answer that we're looking for. But great question all the same. Kathy says, building materials are getting very expensive. Yes, Kathy, they definitely are. That is for sure. Olada Popo says, thank you for answering my question. Of course, my friend, thank you for joining in. Really means a lot to me. For anyone that's joining in during the live stream today, and completely impromptu, right? Just chilling at the home office, and hair not even done, just sitting back here. And I was thinking, I feel like going on a live stream today and seeing who's out here and hanging out with our tribe. I love you guys. I really do. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I would love for our tribe to continue growing and become as popular as possible, to get the information out to help people make sense of real estate. But I just, I truly, truly, truly love you guys, and really appreciate you guys joining me for who's live right now, and even after the fact, of course. Thank you so much for being here and checking out the live stream. Matt, hey Matt, it's always good to hear from you, my friend. He says, what's up, Andrew? Matt is a rock star real estate agent in the Alexandria, Virginia area, and he does have his own YouTube by his namesake. And he makes a lot of awesome YouTube videos. Does some really kick-ass home walkthroughs. I think he gives Eric Conover a run for his money, frankly, between Matt's area knowledge and how good those videos come together when he does home tours. It's amazing. So Matt, I think you could probably build out a course like that and sell it to other real estate agents. You're good. You're really, really good, my friend. And I appreciate you joining in. Thanksgiving was good here, and I hope that yours was, and that everyone else's was too. It was just quiet, low key, obviously. Want to keep social distance and keep everything nice and easy, and make sure that we're doing our part to get rid of COVID-19. And so it was just low key, and just had a good time. I did have some clients and stuff that were really super cool. They had either mailed me like a Boston baked cake or something like that. I was like, oh, that's really sweet, but I'm one person and that's 2 pounds of a coffee cake. I'm a little bit chunky as it were. I got to work on that. So, but I really appreciate the kindness and the consideration of some of the different people that have given me some different pecan pie, or just, nice little gifts like that. It's just awesome. But I hope that yours was good and everyone else's was good as well. YL2K says, I'm only going to apply with local lenders that were referred to me. I have a special case that requires more work from the lender, so I have to see who is even willing to try. Now, my friend, there we go. The devil's in the details, and it gets thick, right? So we're getting thicker there. Thank you for that. If you have that special case, yes, I completely understand where you're coming from and why you may need to contact so many loan officers to see which loan programs may benefit or at least ways support your situation and which ones have the knowledge to be able to assist you. So that makes a lot of sense now. Thank you so much for the clarification and sending you positive mojo that everything works out to your favor and goes the way that we need it to go for you. Okay, so another name, and if I mispronounce your name, I am so sorry. I really don't mean to. I try to pronounce everything correctly as I can, but there are names that this country boy struggles with. So uh, Gaia 3 Jiju says the builder keeps delaying the closing. Our lease expires in December. Need to find another apartment. It's such an inconvenience, but builder denies any compensation. Isn't that unethical? It's a loaded question. What did you agree to when you signed your contract? At the end of the day, they're going to keep going back to that contract. And I'm glad that you raised this point on several different reasons. One of the reasons being is when you go the new home construction contract, I have gone this year. I don't know what's up with this year. This year, I've done probably 50% of all the families I represented this year were new construction, frankly, with different builders and quite a few with one specific builder and one specific master plan too. So it's kind of fun that way. It's been a year of new construction, that's for sure. Probably because the inventory is so short and lack of affordable housing abounds, and a lot of buyers are getting priced out of the market, unfortunately. But we'll be talking about that in that predictions video coming out soon. But that said, when you go back to that builder's contract, if you were to actually read that, it's highly likely they have a clause in there that they have somewhere between 1 and 2 years, depending on the builder, to actually build your house. Now, in most cases, it could be typical, like in Las Vegas, Nevada, is completely typical depending on the builder. House can be built as quick as 4 months, or it could take as long as 7 to 9 months, depending on the builder that you're working with and the process that they use to build a home. But in most of those contracts that I have seen, it's always generally around that 18 to 24-month time period that they have to build your home. So it's important to gain clarity. Now, if you're wondering, well, what the heck would it take so long to build a home? Well, think about like Florida, and think about like the southern states or the Gulf Coast states that get hit by hurricanes, or the Midwest states that could get hit by tornadoes, or the West Coast with wildfires going on like crazy in California, and earthquakes, right? So what happens if they started building your new home and then it unfortunately got demolished due to a natural disaster? Then they need to contractually to have more time to build it. Now, in this case, if they're delaying your closing and your lease expires in December, why is the first thing that comes to my mind? Why, Juju, are they delaying the closing? What is the rationale? Is it because of something that they're doing incorrect on their side? Or just to let you know, new construction is facing, even though we're facing housing shortages and there's a lot of demand for all this stuff, they're also facing labor shortages, having difficulty getting the right type of workers into the house to build a home. That's one thing. There's also supply chain issues, especially before this year and before COVID, we were having supply chain issues, and it's only really ratcheted it up with COVID. So what is missing? Is it the cabinets in your house? Is it the flooring product in your house? Why are they delaying the closing? What is the reason that they're giving you? Ask them these questions. And just as a pro tip here, right? If you want to know when new construction is getting ready to close, watch from the date that they install your cabinets in your kitchen. Once they do your cabinet install, you have approximately 4 to 5 weeks before you're getting ready to do your new home orientation and close on your new home. Everything is calculated off of those cabinets. It's the last major component of the home. And right after they put those up, they start going to town on putting in all the remaining assets of the home that need to go in there. So watch that date. But I'd ask you to get with the builder. Hopefully you have your own trusted real estate advisor or your own real estate agent. And I'd ask you to ask them, why are you dickering around with my closing here? That's not cool. And it's really not cool whenever you've got to go get another short-term lease or move in with a family member or something. But the builder is probably denying you compensation in short because contractually you agreed to it up front. That's where it comes back to working with a real estate professional that can help you bullet point and summarize out a new construction agreement. What's in there, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the often overlooked, right? It's really easy to overlook a 100-page contract. And unless you're working with a professional that is accustomed to how those are written and know how to quickly find and ask the right questions and find the answers within the contract to share with you up front during your due diligence period, it can get tricky right about where you are right now. But Juju, my friend, I am sending you and yours positive mojo that the builder does get the butt in gear and that they are able to get back on track and they are able to close your home ideally in December for you so that you guys can move in. Keep us posted on that. It would be really good to hear and just peace of mind, I guess, to me, knowing that everything turned out okay and that you're in your new place. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you. Six List says, why the long break from YouTube? Six List, thank you so much for the question. And that's a really good one. Look, this year had COVID-19, right? COVID-19. It's been such an interesting year for all of us with everything going up and down and all around with a roller coaster. All of our lives have been affected. All of us have had to think through some different things. And part of my thought process is, what am I doing with my YouTube channel? What am I doing with you? What am I doing with our tribe? And how do I want it to grow? And I reached a point that I just needed to step back, because coming into the year, as you noticed, there was weekly consistent videos. They were around a couple of genres that I thought would have been appealing to people, showing people how to buy a house and how to sell a home with a real family, essentially making a reality show out of it. And then it didn't take flight the way that I thought that it would. And, you know, it kind of got my feelings hurt, frankly. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about you guys and what you want from me. And I'm happy to make it, but I needed some time to reset. I needed some time after almost 5 years of making videos, and 688 of them, if you include this live stream, be 689 videos that I've created in that time frame. It's a lot of videos. It's a hard-hitting pace. And on top of that, I'm a full-time agent that's a top-performing agent here in Las Vegas, Nevada, you know, generally helping 25, 30 plus, 36 plus families sometimes in a year. It gets hectic. So trying to do it all and get it done is, you know, I needed some time. And I wanted to retool and re-educate myself to learn how to better present what is essentially inside of my mind, right? My mind and my heart and my soul with you, so that I could really try to drive on the connections. And I love that live stream format is one of the things, because it's easier for me to make a video or be live with you right now and have this conversation, because it's more natural to be able to read your comment, or if you guys like were joining me on camera or something, and have that conversation with you. It's just a lot easier than whenever, like, I can see one of my cameras, two cameras back there, whatever, my webcam is picking up over there. You get that one eyeball staring at you, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, how do I lead this video in? And why would somebody want to watch this video? What questions am I going to answer in this video that are going to ideally help somebody be able to scratch that itch and get that the answer to the specific question that they had in mind, right? So it's just a little bit different. Sometimes I get nervous, and ultimately I just need the time to reset, to re-educate, to retool, to refocus, and figure out, okay, what are we doing here? You know, we've been doing this YouTube channel for almost 5 years. This upcoming February will be 5 years, and so many different videos. So I keep thinking to myself, okay, we're coming up on 27,000 in our tribe, and I'm very grateful for all the 27,000. At the same time, I have noticed some newer entrants into the consumer space of real estate consumer videos. I'm like, okay, they really took flight, but why did they take flight so fast? How did that work? And what are they doing that is appealing to, you know, people that I would like to join our tribe? And, you know, Sean Cannell, a really good guy here, local in Vegas, took his course. That's one of the courses that I took. Is pretty intense. It's very intense, but always working on the information that he taught. But he has a comment that your vibe attracts your tribe. So when I saw other people growing so rapidly, I'm like, is their vibe just like that good and my vibe isn't? You know, is there something that I'm not doing correctly? So I guess there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of different things I was just wondering within myself if I was getting something wrong, if I've been wrong over the last 5 years by making so many videos. Maybe I should have only been making a video a week. You know, maybe I should have been making a video every 2 weeks, and maybe I should have been learning on how to do better presentation. Maybe I should have been learning how to edit videos better and more about my camera and stuff. And instead of having these questions coming up, 688 videos, later. So I just needed some time to prime, to take a break, catch my breath, kind of like in a lot of my videos, 6 lessons you hear me talk about hashtag JTAB, just take a breath. Well, I needed a very long breath to get through and answer some clarity questions within myself about what am I doing with the videos? What am I doing with our tribe? How are we going to grow our tribe? How can I provide you with a better value? How can I help you even better? And how can we drive engagement so that even after you guys buy and sell a home and you're owning your home, that you still come back to the channel to watch, that you keep sharing the content. I mean, the YouTube gods, they love a handful of different things. And we're just, we as a tribe, we can do it and we can help our tribe grow. But the YouTube gods, what they're loving is watch time, right? They want to see you watching the full videos. They want to see you liking the videos. They want to see you sharing the content, and they want to see you leaving comments on the video. And the more often that happens, the faster that happens, and the faster we can do that as a tribe is the quicker our channel can grow. And as our channel grows, then I got to believe that there's so much content there, just like Matt. Matt's been doing YouTube longer than me. Matt Layton, on earlier, not sure if he's still with us or not, but Matt is one of the first people that I contacted. And in fact, you see that camera behind me, there is a Sony A7S Mark II. Now you could ask Matt, I called Matt, hey, Matt, what are you shooting with? And he's like, Sony A7S Mark II. And I said, Matt, I have no idea. I just got this thing out of the box and it's kind of scary. I said, I'm trying to turn it on and figure out how to use it. And I don't really get it. So thankfully, Matt was like, hey, Andrew, so these are the settings that I use. This is how I do it. And, if you have your settings like this, you'll be able to at least make the videos in the way that you've been making the videos. And I really appreciated Matt taking that time. So anytime I see Matt on here, anytime I have the opportunity to refer, put him in touch with somebody in Alexandria, Virginia, it means a lot to me. I always think that we're stronger and better together than we are not. And it's not about a competition with each other in as much as it's about a competition within ourselves for personal growth, for professional growth. The competition is here. And going back to Sixless comment about taking the time off, I needed that time to adjust, Sixless. And I know that's probably a very long answer, but it's very deep. It's a very deep and very true answer that I really needed to figure a lot of different things out. So I appreciate you sticking in there with me and joining in after the break, of course. And hopefully there was more than enough content to keep you entertained as you were wondering when I'd be back making different videos. But thank you so much, Sixless. Greatly appreciate it. Alex Maloney Real Estate says, yo, Alex Maloney, thank you for joining in. Here's another name I might struggle with, but I'll give it my country boy best. Mijaya Israel says, should I share the loan estimate I received from the builder's lender to another lender to see if they can beat the terms? That's entirely your call. It's a great one. And in a lot of cases, it would give the loan officer that you're reaching out to, it'd give them a lot of insight into how the previous loan officer was looking at your loan as far as fees and stuff are concerned. And it might be able to assist you in getting better terms at the end of the day. Completely your call, obviously personal information to you and your financial information at that. So if that's something that you feel comfortable with doing, then do what you do. But I'd ask you to also give the other lender the same opportunity to probably see the other loan estimate. Not that you're necessarily trying to play two ends to the middle in this case, but you're just trying to compare an apple to an apple as opposed to saying, oh, give me this information, I'm going to take it over here and see what's different, right? Which is a good idea. It's an educational process, but at the end of the day, shouldn't you also give it other one back and see if they could also fulfill those terms or give you some better terms too? I think that's just a fair point of view, but do what you think is best there. I don't think that you're going to go wrong either way. It's just up to what you're comfortable with. Devin Bashir says, I'm a real estate photographer. At what point will real estate agents feel like they can no longer justify investing in marketing MLS images? Thanks. Hey, Devin, I think that's a really good question, and I really appreciate you joining in, my friend. So in short, I hope never, because real estate agents, look, we get these really cool phones. The only reason I have this fancy smancy phone is because I do make videos and I live on this thing like all the time. But at the end of the day, I would never dream in a million years of taking my own real estate listing photography. Never, because I don't believe it's the better part of business practice. Look, whenever a seller hires me and they're paying 6, 7, 8% commission or whatever the case may be in total listing commission, right? they're hiring me for a professional service, that I'm contacting the right professionals, that I'm helping them market their home in the right kind of light, and I'm helping them to the best of my abilities. Well, I know one thing. I make videos and stuff, right? And I'm still working on learning and growing how to make them even better. But I know that I'm not a photographer. I mean, check out some of my thumbnails where I get these little, my lights are coming down. I get this little like raccoon looking eyes down here or something, it is what it is. I'm not a photographer, but I took those images myself. The point that I'm making here is that hopefully never, because real estate agents should always hire a professional photographer. They always need to be assisting their client, and they always need to be putting a home in its best light possible to get it sold for their client. So I don't know that real estate agents will ever get away from that. And in fact, I think it's only getting more and more important to do that to better assist a prospective home buyer, especially in COVID. But I mean, I think that COVID just really accelerates a lot of different things. And in this case, the importance of real estate marketing to help people be able to gain better insight into what a home really looks like, right? If they're not professional photography, then it's very hard to get an idea when you got those dark pictures, everything's not lit well. It just doesn't look right. And it's hard for prospective home buyers to really know if they even want to see the house or not, right? So I hope that answers your question, but I'm a full supporter, Devin Brashears, of professional real estate photographers. It is an art. It is a science, and it's not quite as easy as it always looks. So thank you for what you do. And if you have any follow-up questions, just let me know. Gaia Theory Juju, I said that a lot better that time, my friend. I have much more confidence now that you said, wow, you pronounced my name absolutely right. Thanks for answering my question. They are saying material shortage, but anyways, thanks for the clarity. Absolutely happy to help, my friend. Thank you for joining in today. Lynn Brown says, happy you're back, Andrew. We all missed you and happy that you took a break to refresh your mind. Lynn Brown, thank you so much, my friend, for your support. Just out of curiosity, do you typically prefer like the live stream format, or do you prefer like the recorded video format? Because I did put out a new series about how to buy a house sight unseen. Did that about 7 weeks ago, and I ran one a week on that. Just so that anybody that was contemplating buying a house without seeing it, it actually happens a lot. And I've been doing it for years, long before COVID. But I thought that I would put together a mini series on how to do that with 3 clients that I've actually done it with here in Vegas, done it with a lot more than that. But I had asked 3 of my clients to join me for an interview to share their honest take on it. And I put it together and then shared a 10-step process along with 13 questions afterwards in a 6-part mini-series. All the same, I'm not sure if you caught that. That was essentially my official return back into the videos. This being the first live stream, of course, and completely different than anything that we've done previous. Just hanging out, having a good time with you guys. You're my tribe. Love you guys and love the vibes that you guys have. And just always look forward to connecting with you as much as possible. So, Lynn, at the end of the day, thank you for your support and for being there. Kathy, likewise. Kathy says, and I have to also let you know, Andy, you have helped us so much. So appreciate you for what you do. Kathy, really appreciate you. Every time I see your name on there, kind of like Lynn, Matt or Brandon or like L2K, there's certain names that I recognize a lot, and it just means a lot. I'm like, oh, okay, some of our people are here and we're in good hands. We got some people that are going to throw out some great questions, and some of the names that I just recognize the most. I just love you guys dearly and greatly appreciate you. So I appreciate you too, Kathy. It helps knowing that you're here and other great members of our tribe are here, and your encouragement and your kudos mean a lot. So thank you. Let's see. The 40-year-old gamer says, so I asked my bank what a refinance would be on our house. Was 3.5% right now. We are paying 4.2%. Is it worth doing it? So you're talking about home loan refinance. So the 40-year-old gamer, that's a really good question. I hope you're still with us. If you are, go ahead and drop another question down there or a comment. Just let me know that you're with us. Appreciate your patience getting to this question. So I have a lot of different takes and thought you are cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. I have a lot of different thought process when it comes to home loan refinance. Number one would be, how long have you already had your existing mortgage? Was it like a 30-year fixed rate mortgage that is pretty common? If you had a 4.2% rate and you're like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years into paying that bad boy, the reality is 5 years and 30 year. Okay, great. So you gave me some different context. So you've been in the house 5 years, you got a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 4.2%. Okay, cool. And the best the bank is going to offer you is 3.5%. Okay, cool. So two considerations here. Number one is, what is the goal of the refinance? Are you merely looking to drop the amount of the interest on the loan, or are you looking to increase your monthly cash flow? If the answer is monthly cash flow and the difference of that 0.7% is going to be sufficient enough that it warrants the refinance, because keep in mind, when you refinance, you're still going to have buyer closing costs. It just normally gets rolled into the loan, right? So if you are going to get a refinance, we've got to first address why you're getting the refinance, okay? The second thing is, the reality is that 5 years into your home, you've paid the bulk or a lot of the interest on your loan, because you probably noticed that on your amortization schedule, how much of it is going towards interest in the first 5 years compared to that of principal. Well, you had much more going to interest. Where I'm going with this is, if you've been in your home, let's say that you bought like a $400,000 home, and let's say that in the last 5 years, you've shelled out like $100K towards your principal, interest, property tax, and homeowners insurance, right? And if you started at 400, maybe your balance right now would be essentially 350-ish, right? 340-ish, ideally, right? If that was the case, then if you did a refinance at 340, that's cool, but you lose all of those payments that you've already done. You're also going to be resetting a clock in many times back to a 30 years. So now you're losing that 5-year gain that you made to pay down your mortgage and reset the clock back to that 30-year mortgage, right? So you got to gain clarity there. Now, I do see that it would be just to drop the interest right here. Everyone's saying the rates are so low. I just didn't want to miss out on rates. Hey, look, at the end of the day, that's cool, but you gotta get real with the numbers. You gotta get real with those numbers. So when you're getting real with those numbers, look at how much you've already paid. Because I had the same conversation with Bill Marin, New American Funding over here. Work with him all the time. Love the guy. He's like a brother. You know, he and I help so many wonderful families. And, you know, together he and I do some really great things to help the families that we represent. But at the end of the day, look, he's like, Andrew, you got a 3.25% rate from the time that you purchased your home. And we could get you probably like a 2.5% rate now. I said, don't want it. I said, it doesn't make sense. I've been in my home for a little, I haven't been in my house the home that you see around you, been here for almost 5 years, right? And I was looking at it from like an accounting perspective. How much have I paid in interest? How much am I going to save? How much is the refinance going to cost me? How long is it going to take me to realize the savings off of what I think you said I'd save like $250 a month? But the buyer closing costs are still there. So let's say the buyer closing costs were 3% of like 400, right? That's 12K. And I'm only saving $300 a month. So that's $3,600. So it's like, okay, my break-even point for just the buyer closing costs is just around 4.5, 5 years on just to get to the buyer closing costs. But what about the additional $100,000 way over there that's already been paid? How long would it take to catch up to that? Well, I did the math on that, and it was like 43 years. I was like, this doesn't make any kind of sense to me. I'm not needing to increase my cash flow by $250 a month. It'd be lovely. I mean, who wouldn't like that? But not at the sake of resetting the clock of my mortgage, and not at the sake of doing something that fiscally does not make sense. So I think that the more people that get caught up sometimes on that sexy marketing, oh, the interest rates are so good, the interest rates are so good, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. But did you ever take a step back to ask yourself why you were doing it and what the goal was for doing it? Were you looking to improve your cash flow situation, or what was the goal? What was the outcome? Because if it's simply to get a lower interest rate, there's always going to be that song and a dance. But at the end of the day, if you're the one that's left holding the hook, we all are. And you're holding the bill quite literally. And if you keep resetting that clock to 30 years, you're never going to get your home paid off. So at some point, you just got to say, hey, the buck stops here. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm rolling. And now I gain clarity on what I want to do. I don't need the cash flow, but what I do need to do is pay off my house. And in fact, I'll just pay it off a little bit quicker, extra $50, extra $100, whatever you're able to do every single month will add up and start knocking back that amortization schedule by years. And then you really save some money. So I really appreciate the question, my friend. That's a really good one. I did a live stream earlier this year with Bill Marin and Celeste Harvey, for that matter, I believe, talking about home loan refinances. So I really appreciate that. And we really went there with the numbers. So I really, really appreciate you doing that. Let me scroll back up to where we were. Brandon Mendoza, real estate agent. We appreciate you, Andrew. You are going to do greater things. Brandon Mendoza, you're another one, my friend. Really, really wonderful young gentleman in Texas. Brandon and I have been in contact for, seems like several years. I think you were probably one of the first subscribers ever on the channel, Brandon, but It really means a lot. And Brandon was in a live stream with me earlier this year if you want to check him out too. Really knowledgeable guy in Texas, really cool guy, super humble, super honest, and super easy to work with, and another veteran. And really appreciate you, Brandon, for joining in today. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate you. Why YL2K says, I'm glad it was a professional break and not a medical break. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, me too. Speaking of, I hope everyone is healthy and safe right now. Sixless says, understandable, glad you're doing well. I watched your videos during my home buying process as COVID hit. Thanks for answering my question. Of course, Sixless, and stay tuned and continue letting me know. Check out the videos, drop me a line in the comment section. I read every one of the comments. I do the best I can to answer as many comments as possible every day. I'm trying to do better about that as well to better connect with everyone. And I really appreciate it reading the comments. So let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you'd like to see next. And I can make it. Devin Bashir says, great answer. That gives me some peace of mind moving forward. Thank you for your time, taking the time to answer. Of course, Devin, thank you for being here. MFIM says, if I don't see pictures, I won't even bother with the listing. Same if pictures are poor quality. Exactly right, MFIM. That is so, so true. It comes up all the time with different buyers I represent here. They're not even interested. Alex Maloney says, how often do you think you should post on YouTube? Alex Maloney, that's a really good question. And in short, it depends. What's your goal for your YouTube channel? And this is something that Brandon and I have discussed. And I've had the conversation with different real estate agents that have contacted me around the United States. So what's likely to happen, well, I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag, but just say stay tuned, right? But at the end of the day, if you're posting to YouTube, you need to, number one, do it at a pace that you can do comfortably. And you need to know what kind of video content that you're going to create. And if you're going to do YouTube videos, what is the purpose of your channel? What are the purpose of your YouTube videos? Are you looking to use them in your local marketplace? Are you simply wanting to do home tour type videos or whatever? There is no wrong answer here, Alex. It's just about what do you want? What do you want to get from it? What kind of tribe are you trying to attract with your channel? What type of videos what value rather are your videos going to bring to your tribe, to your audience, right? And then at the end of the day, finding out and knowing how consistently you can realistically do that sustainably into the future for the long haul, right? So if it's once a month, it's once a month. If it's once every couple of weeks, it's once every couple of weeks. Generally, though, to answer your question much more directly, YouTube would like you to be posting probably at least once a week. So if you're posting at least once a week, then YouTube's going to be okay with that. But at the end of the day, it's not about YouTube in as much in this case as it is about your audience and delivering the value to them that they're looking for from you. So I'd ask you just to go back and ask you ask yourself those clarity questions and figure out what's most important to you, Alex, and why you want a YouTube channel, why you're making the videos, who's the ideal person that would be watching your videos, and what value can you provide to them to answer the questions that are in their mind's eye, where they are in their life journey at that moment in time. Something I'm always asking myself, and one of the reasons that I love the live stream, gives the opportunity to answer so many questions so quickly. So I hope that helps, Alex. If you have more questions about that, just hit me up directly, please. Lynn Brown says, I like the live stream better. I've learned a lot of real estate from you. Thank you, Andrew. I'm actually in the process of home purchasing right now. Congratulations, Lynn. Super excited for you. And definitely, of course, let us know when you close. It'd be great to know. The 40-year-old gamer said, yeah, it would just be to drop interest. Okay, we did that. Okay, so MFIM says, what is the minimum loan you can get for a house, like 50,000 less or more? So it just depends on the loan officer. I mean, technically you can get home loans for whatever the price is in the market. It's just a matter of which home loan officers may be able to or have the desire to do them. I have heard of mortgage officers doing home loans down to like $30,000. So it's not unheard of. It's just a matter of finding one that would do it. So it's not like they can't do it. They can do it. It's just a matter of having the one that will do it. Okay. 8 Passion says, or refinance to 20-year. Okay, yeah. So 8 Passion says about the refinance thing, or you could refinance to a 20-year if that makes sense for your financial situation. Absolutely. And that's an option available to you. It's a good one. Based Tiger 8 says, as a buyer in a competitive California market, since I have FHA, would you recommend removing the appraisal contingency? We can afford $10,000 to $20,000 difference between the asking price. It's a really good question, and it's one that we find a lot of people in, and I go there a lot with the different families I represent here in Vegas. So at the end of the day, no, in short, don't ever drop your contingencies in a contract. If you don't get the house and it wasn't the right house, I know it's hard to hear that, but it's a true way of looking at it. Ultimately, you're only going to be able to get as much home loan as appraised value. If you guys can comfortably go 10 to 20K between a possible low appraised value and the offer price, then what you want to do is you want a real estate agent that knows how to work that into a contract in a way with provisions, with additional contingencies in that case, that would better protect you. Now, that's generally, like, if I was going to play that out here in Vegas, there's a very specific way that I do that. But trust me on this, don't drop your contingencies, because if you did and it was like 30K less, then you're going to blow apart. You could potentially lose your earnest money deposit, all that stuff. It's not cool. It's not cool. You work too hard for your money, and you work too hard to have it disappear just because of, super competitive California market or whatever. So this kind of touches on a little bit of what I'm watching in the 2021 housing market. Let's just say that I think there's going to be a few more opportunities around the corner in the not too distant future. I don't believe it's going to be anything like, what did I hear somebody say the other day? He actually painted such a beautiful analogy about how foreclosures were a tsunami getting ready to hit the United States. And I thought to myself, wow, as somebody that does real estate all the time and watches a lot of what it takes to get there, I think the answer is a little bit yes, no, and maybe so, but not at a 2008 level. Far from it. But I don't want to get too much into that video. Let's suffice it to say there will be an uptick in some available inventory in the not too distant future. So please don't waive your appraisal contingency. Please make the financial decisions that are best for you. Please do talk over with your real estate professional you're working with how to provide you with a clause that would buffer you for not exceeding your financial comfort zone if you did end up deciding to go above and beyond a possible appraised value to beat out another home buyer. It is a tactic. It works. I've talked about it in some of my videos of years past on more of how to pull that off, but get into the nitty and gritty of how to structure that. That would be like a course of its own that I should teach. And it would definitely be in a different setting than the public YouTube face. But hey, if you're a real estate agent, would ideally know how to do that? It's a great question. Thanks for being here. 40-year-old gamer says, I hear you and I appreciate your feedback. I was already kind of against it, but your great advice gave me my choice. The 40-year-old gamer, I think the reason so many people are buying houses unseen is Google, and technology is good, can always see pretty updated pics of the house and land. You're absolutely right. And in episode number 5 of that series that I was talking about, the 40-year-old gamer, in episode number 5, I gave a lot of those links inside of that video of the ones that you could use to buffer the actual video tour itself and actually find out even more information about the area and go even deeper. Now, personally, professionally, I think those links are extremely powerful for even just normal times, right? So there are due diligence. I call them due diligence links, things that we should always be doing, but become a lot more important when looking at purchasing sight unseen. But you're absolutely right. The technology grows so fast, video quality, heck, this phone that I got, I was like, they're like, this thing can shoot up to 8K. I was like, 8K, huh? Can the front side of this thing give a resolution of 8K? It's the question. It can film in 8K, but can it give resolution of 8K? And how much 8K footage can you get with it? I mean, it's just that kind of stuff, right? I mean, once we're at 4K and we're able to stream and present in real time at 4K, that is a very good quality. So good point. Thank you for being here, my friend. Let me see. It looks like Jerry Humphreys was asking a question. YouTube decided it needed to be held for review. So let me see what his question was. There's no reason that YouTube should have held that one, but that was a really good question. So his question, Jeffrey Humphreys, if you're still with us, please let me know. But either way, really good question, was asking about VA home loans And when is it okay to say that he's approved for a VA home loan? He mentions that he signed the closing disclosure, but still haven't heard back on a clear to close, and his closing is in a week. So you should have already been well approved for that. And if you've already signed your closing disclosure, then yeah, you're absolutely right that you're waiting for that clear to close to come in. So what's happening more than likely on the lending side of things is the underwriter is going through with an extremely fine-tooth comb to make sure that any conditions that they would have shared with you were being satisfied with the documentation or information you were providing back to them. And it would also be one of those things that you want to go ahead and pick up the phone. Obviously, today being Friday on Thanksgiving weekend, then they're probably not going to be back in the office until Monday. But you do want to get with them and ask them about your current status of your clear to close, if all the conditions were satisfied, because you get that clear to close immediately after those conditions are satisfied. And that being said, being that they already sent out your closing disclosure, then it sounds like to me with a pretty high degree of success here for you, that your loan officer is thinking that you're going to come back just fine from that final review to get you clear to close. And they're just trying to seam up that 3-day window that they have to by law from the time they issue that closing disclosure before you could close to keep your closing time frame on track. So it just sounds like your loan officer is just navigating that timeline to help you out and to make sure that you close on time. I'd ask you just to simply take a breath, but I think that you're probably going to be okay, my friend. Knock on wood, obviously, knock on wood there, but just have the conversation with your loan officer come Monday morning and see where they're at. Hopefully it turns out Monday morning you get your clear to close and everything's on track. Move forward, do your final walkthrough, buyer signing, and close on your home and get the keys to your new place. And definitely wishing you and yours many happy years in your new home, Jerry. And thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I do see that you shared with me that you're here. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you. 40-year-old gamer says, do you think Zillow estimates are accurate? Like my house has doubled in price, but I don't really trust that. So do I think Zillow estimates are accurate? No, I really don't. Not at all. They're using an algorithm, and despite algorithms and machine learning getting as advanced as they are, they're still not 100% accurate. They aren't able to factor for things called adverse selection. They're not able to factor for the actual features and amenities and benefits of a specific property, along with the condition of the property. But that said, they can give you a benchmark pricing of what they're seeing on whatever their algorithm is watching towards property valuation. Now, it sounded like you'd been in your home for the last 5 years, the 40-year-old gamer, from a previous comment that you made. I do want to tell you that it is entirely possible. 100% is pretty insane, but it depends on where you live in the country. It's entirely possible the market did appreciate 100% in the last 5 years, depending on where you live. That's just being real, because even this house that I live in now, it realistically has appreciated, almost 65% since the time that I purchased it. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, as a homeowner, yeah, cool, whatever. But at the end of the day, I just think to myself, that's not so cool to all the home buyers that are in the market trying to buy a home. And, and you're talking about Sierra Vista, Arizona, one of the most popular areas to move in this last, 5-6 years. It's been Nevada, like Las Vegas, and especially Arizona. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that you could realistically potentially have your home could have potentially doubled in price essentially to your benefit in that case. But I mean, at the end of the day, home buyers in the market, they're getting priced out of the market. I've been watching about that. I've been talking about that going back to even 2017, 2018 in the prediction videos, with housing affordability being the real crisis that we were facing. Everybody back then talking about the market going to pop, the bubble, anything salacious, anything that was allegedly sexy to catch somebody by the fearmonger, right? Just a fearmonger, get your gut turning and make you click on their video as opposed to the person that's actually trying to hook you up with the knowledge. But that said, housing affordability has been on the forefront for quite some time, and it's been an issue. And then I think to myself, with these rapid rates of appreciation, lack of housing inventory, and all that stuff going on, it just prices so many buyers out of the market. And I work with first-time home buyers all the time, and I can tell you, people are working hard. Some of them working 2-3 jobs just to be able to get a home or just to pay rent. And I'm like, we're at our glass ceiling in Vegas. We've been at our glass ceiling in pricing for so long. The price has got to come down a little bit, because anytime that you're looking at the average median income in your city, in Vegas, for instance, it's like $65,000 annually for the per capita income, right? But when you take that $65,000 annual income and you then factor in like the average debt to income ratio associated with a buyer, and then what remains is how much they can afford for their new home. In Vegas, that's realistically about 275. And the average price of a home in Vegas right now, the whole of Clark County, which is a big area, comprises over 52 proper zip codes, is 300,000. But depending on where you are in the city, it can be much higher. It could be 343. It can be 353. It can be even higher than that. Again, depending on where it is in the city and in what zip code and specific an area that it is, it can also be much lower than that. But on average, it's 300. But because of our aggregate total being so high for our average price, and our per capita income hasn't grown in proportion to be able to support that. Most home buyers in Las Vegas, that average home buyer is going to be able to afford somewhere between 250 and 275, and yet there's not many homes out there. At the same time, with COVID and the housing shortage and everything else going on, despite builders building like no one's business, is crazy just how much new construction is going on out here. Despite that, we only have like less than 5,000 homes on the market right now. And it sounds like a lot of homes, but Las Vegas is a big area. And typically a healthy Las Vegas market would see somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 homes on the market every single month. They give you, for instance, in 2019, every single month, there were 5,000 closings on average every single month. And we got total availability of homes of like 5,000 available. The prices are higher. Buyers getting priced out of market, and it really breaks my heart. It makes me think too, like whenever I first moved to Vegas in 2012, whenever I was finishing up with my active duty service, took a few years to try to get my head on straight, figure out what I wanted to do in life, and go on. And obviously I'm here now. So this is one of those parts of my life journey. And I was able to purchase my home at the low of the market back then, after getting through with 2 years of my bankruptcy and some financial hardships that I endured along with other millions and tens of millions of Americans, unfortunately. And I bought my first home, and it was $128,000. And it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home with a pool and a cul-de-sac. And I think back to that every single time I talk to a first-time home buyer, and they're describing what they want in their ideal home. And then we talk to the loan officer about the numbers and stuff like that. And let's say they get approved for like 300,000, but the reality in the real estate market for where they want to live, to have the better school districts and stuff for their kids, that maybe a 3-bed, 2-bath home of like 1,400 square feet is like 315, and they can only get approved at the 300. And they're sitting there thinking, what else do I got to do to try to get this home? And my heart really it's like on the inside, it's hard to explain. On the inside, I just like cry these little tears that are non-existent, thinking, I so wish that the blessings that I was able to enjoy, that this family would be able to enjoy them too. And I know how hard it is. I really do, because I do this. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the mix, working with buyers and sellers every single day. Andrew, should I buy? Should I sell? Andrew, but if I buy, will the market go down tomorrow? Andrew, but even if the market did go down tomorrow, will I lose the historically low interest rates? Should I wait? What should I do? Sellers asking the same questions. Andrew, should I be selling my house right now? And these are real meaningful questions that I get to answer, hopefully in meaningful ways that really, really help people every single day, and with the people I represent. So I really feel for people in the current market. It really does. It's very hard. It's very, very, very hard to be a first-time home buyer right now. And that's why I am optimistic with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris getting ready to come to office, and potentially being able to free up some housing money to give people a $15,000 tax credit towards their home purchase. I think that's going to alleviate a lot of the financial frustration there. And I think it's going to provide a nest egg, because a lot of people use down payment assistance, and the trade-off of down payment assistance loans is typically higher interest rates. So there's so many factors that go into that, and there's so much that goes through my head whenever I think about making a predictions video. But that said, it'll be coming out probably this next week. By next Friday is what my goal is, next Friday, Saturday, to have it out to you guys. So you asked me a question about doubling in price value, the 40-year-old gamer, and it just hits off a different tangent inside just things that I work with. I've had the great privilege and the great honor of helping just over 180 families buy or sell homes over the last around 7 years. And currently like 9 families that I'm working with that are in contract right now, both the buy side, sell side type situations. So 9 in escrow. So coming up on essentially 190. And I think of every one of them, I keep in touch with a lot of them. Yesterday, of course, reaching out to them, wish them well, happy Thanksgiving. And I just think of that, who I talk to now, and they're talking about buying a home, young couple, work so hard for the money, and just like, it's just hard. It's just hard. And I do everything I can. And I know there's so many other real estate agents across the United States that really feel for the clients that they work with, just trying to do the best they can and trying to help them make sense of what's going on and make the most well-informed decision that they can about the current market. Because even though there's going to be a lot of shaking up in the market next year, at the end of the day, by the time we're at this point next year, the market will probably have appreciated at least a little bit. So whatever drop was there is going to likely be gone. But we'll talk about that more. Anyways, Jay, thank you so much for joining in. Jay says, I followed all of your advice on preparing your house for sale and staging, sold it in 2 days for full price. Thanks. Jay, thanks. That's a powerful testament and really appreciate you sharing that. And here in practice, whenever I work with sellers, they do the same thing. You know, if they listen and they're following the information. In fact, here in a little bit, I got to go jump off this live stream. And one of the things I got to go do is check on a listing I'm getting ready to put on the market. Meet over the professional cleaner, let them know what we need to get done and what we need to make happen next to get some people in there to get this listing put up to standard. Because going back to houses being so expensive, especially for first-time home buyers, who is most likely the person that would be buying it, we need to get everything right. You know, anything that needs to be done for maintenance should be done. To me, it's the polite and right thing to do. You just don't sell a house if you know it's in disrepair. It's not polite. It's not right. And if you ask yourself at the end of the day, would you really think it was cool if you were in the person buying its shoes? Probably not. So what would you want? You'd want to make sure that as hard as you work for your money, as hard as you work to be able to become a homeowner, that you're buying the best property possible. Well, the way that you do that on the listing side of things is you do like you did, Jay. And I already know you did all of it from preparing your house to sell, because you mentioned you watched the videos. And if you followed all of it, it means you had a pre-listing home inspection. It means that you knocked out the repairs. It means that you did the touch-up paints and that you also brought your home up from a maintenance standpoint. And you as a seller benefited on the backside of that, because a home buyer that's getting ready to pop off $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, whatever the average price is in your area, they want that best home that's most turnkey possible, because they're using, in a lot of cases, all the money they have to get into the house. They don't have the money to maintain the house for the first few months. They got to recoup that nest egg and that emergency fund to be able to afford that maintenance. So I'm glad that you followed that, and I'm glad it worked out for you and that you're able to sell in 2 days. It's freaking awesome. And I hope that everything goes well for you in the future with your future plans, and continue watching. Let me know, of course, what you want to watch and see me create in the future, and we'll keep doing that. James says, does it make more sense to go with a new build or a resale home for a first-time home buyer? It's a really good question, James. Really depends on question number one. I like to ask everybody, how long are you going to live there? How long are you going to live there? So if you're going to live in a house and the new construction home and the resale homes are in approximately the same area, approximately the same price, whatever the case may be, right, in what you're talking about, how long are you going to live there? If you're going to buy a new construction home, I'd ask you to live there for at least 7, 10 plus years, because generally that's how much time that you need to start getting the property value to catch up and start giving you much more equity in the property. Now, if you opt to go resell, just understand that when you do so, no home is going to be perfect, not even new construction for that matter, but new construction would be a little more perfect, a little bit more new, obviously new, than a resale home. And it really depends. There is a community here in Las Vegas, and it is a master plan that I'm a huge fan of. And the reason being is this: the average price of homes in the area are approximately the same as that of resale, which is really interesting conundrum of sorts to see new construction at a price that is actually very competitive to the average price of resale homes in that area. So in that case, if the shoe fit and the buyer liked what the new builder was providing, and everything else made sense to them about the location and everything, because literally pretty darn close and to the resale, they're just across the street, then in that case, it's a good idea for a first-time homebuyer to be able to jump down at the average price of a home and be able to get into new construction, because you're going to be picking up the 1-year builder warranty, like it's like a bumper-to-bumper warranty. If something goes out, it's going to get it fixed. You're going to get a structural and mechanical warranty on top of that, and then you're going to have the peace of mind of knowing everything inside that house is brand new. Now, if that resale home was like $100,000 more, that new home construction rather was $100,000 more than that resale home, then we have a different conversation altogether. So James, at the end of the day, how long are you going to live there, right? What is the price of the home new? And when you're talking about new construction specific, what is the lot premium? Is it a builder that has a lot of options? If so, what are the average prices of those options, right? And make sure that you do the math to compare it truly to that of the resale. Factor the reality that you're likely going to have to do your own landscaping and stuff in the backyard, okay? And put the numbers, put pen to paper, and do the numbers and see if it makes financial sense to you. And if the answer to that question is yes, and if the answer to that question is you're going to be there for 10, 15, possibly forever years, right? I mean, you ever heard like a gentleman I had phone prospected when I first got started in real estate? It's hysterical. He said, "Andrew, I really appreciate you. You seem like a really cool dude and everything, but I gotta be straight with you. The day I leave this house is the day I leave here at room temperature." And I thought, whew, okay, he's got a life plan for his house, right? You got to carry him out at room temperature means that the ambulance went and got him. You see where I'm going with that? So if you have that kind of a vision for a new home construction, cool. Just make sure that you gain clarity and insight on the reasons why you're purchasing a home, how long you want to be there, and based upon those answers to the questions, you'll be able to make a well-informed decision that's right for you and factor those numbers, okay? MFIM says, "Do you actually feel bad for us trying to get a house? I feel like I have been trying for a year to grab a house. Is it just me? They keep slipping through my fingers by another buyer." Yeah, MFIM, I really do feel bad. I really do. I see the devastation that I can just see it in the buyers that I represent. I can see it in their face. And I read their frustration on the YouTube channel and in the people that send me comments and stuff like that directly on email, whatever. And I really do. That's why I started the YouTube channel, was to help people make sense of real estate. I thought to myself that 2008 didn't have to happen if people had the education, and there wasn't a lot of people making consumer-related YouTube content when I started this almost 5 years ago. So I thought to myself, let me just get to work and start grinding and crank, and answering as many specific questions and some even more intricate questions as possible to help people make sense of real estate so that they know what to expect from it. And at the end of the day, that's where we're here now. But the reason I bring that up, MFIM, is because it comes from my heart. It comes from a place of compassion. There is nothing that could keep me going 688, almost 689 videos, including this live stream, for 5 years. Think about that for a moment. It's a lot of dedication on top of doing my full-time GOB and representing the families that I represent here in Las Vegas, right? So, yeah, I do feel bad. And yeah, I do love you guys. And yeah, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to want something so bad and it slips through your hands. And you're always so close, but it's always so like just keeps moving further out of reach. I understand that. Now, you've been feeling like it's been a year to grab a house. Is it just me? No, there's a lot of other buyers in the same situation. They keep slipping through your fingers. Your decision-making brain doesn't work as fast as going from active to pending. Yeah, that makes sense. And the part of the way to speed up, and I'm glad that you phrased it that way, right? Part of the way to speed up your decision-making process is to add additional clarity. When you get crystal clear clarity, it gives you focus, right? So if you figure out why are you buying a house, how long are you going to live in the house, how will you know when you find the right house, right? Essentially beginning with the end in mind of what the ideal home looks like for you. And already doing some reconnaissance, so to speak, scouting out the areas where these homes exist that you like, so that you already know what the area is like. And once you're able to gain that clarity, when you do see that home, you can go pop off and see it. And then you already know the questions about the house. You know, I have to have a house that faces east-west or north-south or whatever direction, right? I need a house that is more open concept, or, you know, you have essentially have thought through your negotiables to your non-negotiables. You've essentially thought through everything that is meaningful to you about what you're willing to renovate yourself or what you're not willing to do. And when you have that level, of clarity. You have crystal clear clarity, which adds focus, which improves and greatly speeds the decision-making process because you've already thought it through. So I'd ask you before you go and look at more homes is to think through your negotiables to your non-negotiables. Think through to how will you know and identify and visualize that home that when you see it, you know is the right one, so that you can make the decision to beat out the competition in the market if you choose to buy at this time. If you choose to back off for a little bit, that's fine too. Go back and listen to the beginning of the live stream. I know that obviously you've been with me quite a bit here, but go back and revisit it. Check out the 2021 prediction video that'll be dropping here this next week. Long story short, you got to make a decision that's right for you and the time in life that's right for you based upon making a well-informed decision and getting all your ducks in a row ready to go with all your education pieces, thinking everything through, having that game plan. And when you do, the decision that you make will be one that you can live with and one that you'll be happy with. And you won't feel like, the one that got away over there, because you knew the one that you have is the right one for you. So I'd ask you to do that. Anyways, today has been absolutely amazing. And I got to tell you again, thank you so much for everyone that joined in during the live stream and everyone that's come and gone since that time. It really, really means a lot to me to spend this time with you today. And I'm glad that we're able to connect. I would love to do more stuff like this with you guys all the time or whatever. This is my favorite stuff, is to connect with our tribe, and let's keep growing our tribe. Please go ahead, share out the content. As you're watching the videos on the channel, if you see one that you think it'll help your friends or family members, share it. Drop me a line. Let me know what you thought of the video, and show your support that way, because that's what's going to take to please the YouTube gods here, is smashing those thumbs up, sharing the content, watching the content. Let's please those YouTube gods so we can grow our tribe and keep increasing the vibe and keep making, hopefully, at least one person smile every single day and making the world a better place, one smile at a time. We can and we will do this together. But anyways, the reason I'm saying that is a moment ago I was telling you that I have to pop off to get ready to go do some servicing activities on this listing and make sure that we get it ready to go for these clients. And I just noticed it is 2:45 p.m. Pacific. Time for me to pop off, guys and gals, and really appreciate you joining in. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Thank you to everyone that's here. In the meantime, I hope that everyone enjoyed a good Thanksgiving and that you're preparing for a wonderful weekend. And I'll look forward to catching up with you guys again soon. Enjoy a beautiful day, and please be the reason someone smiles today.